Hello, welcome to the Good Enough Counsellors live at 5. And what we're talking about today is running your introductory phone call. So, if you're somebody who is in private practice and you offer to speak to clients for, say, a 15 to 20-minute section of time to screen them or to make sure that you're the right therapist for them, this is a little session that might help you to know the sorts of things that you should include in your session. So let's get started. And if you're watching this on the replay, then please do pop #replay if you're watching it on Facebook, or if you're watching it on YouTube. Welcome and feel free to leave some comments underneath. So I can see there's some people watching. You're very welcome. And let's get started. So what's really important about having these introductory sessions is it does give you a chance to do a quick screening of your client and to make sure that you feel comfortable to see them for a full assessment session and that they feel comfortable in choosing to work with you. So I've done a little bit of asking around and polling of the members of my Facebook group, and I would say the vast majority of you actually choose to do some sort of quick chat prior to getting people booked in. And when I say a quick chat, I mean something where you go into a little bit more detail with them about what it is that they're after, rather than just getting them quickly booked into a full assessment session where they're paid. So this is sort of pre that session. And as I say, the advantage of this is you're able to screen people and you're able to work out if you actually do want to work with them. So the other thing that it can be really useful about doing something like this is that it does help to establish that trust and rapport with your clients before you've even actually started the proper work with them. So it can be beneficial for them. And I think a lot of clients actually quite like to have a chat with you beforehand so that they can feel you out and sort of see if you're the right person for them and see if they feel comfortable talking to you. So it's really important in these calls to be you and to establish that rapport and to show them that you are a trustworthy person in the way that you actually run the call. So let's have a quick think about what would be useful for you to include in the call. And I can see there's a few people watching, so I'd love to know while I'm talking, what do you include in your calls? And please feel free to correct me and tell me if there's anything that you think I've missed out, because that would be helpful for the other people who are watching. So I don't mind being corrected. This is the way I would do it. Obviously, we've all got different ways of doing it, and sometimes it helps to hear other people and how other people would be able to run their calls. So the first thing I'd probably do is really try and establish some rapport with them. So I introduce them and I might say something that's sort of quite inane, something that is just going to break the ice. So, were you in a rush to get here? Are you settled down now? Do you feel okay to talk? I might ask them about how they heard about me, because that's a question that people can answer fairly straightforward. They might not tell you where they found you on the internet, but they might say, well, I found you on the internet, or a friend recommended me to you. So, that's a question that they can answer, and it might help them to relax a little bit. And I've got some more guidance in my introductory sales call template that I've produced. So this is sort of something that you might like to look about, and I'll look at, and I'll tell you a bit more about that in a minute. So in this sort of section where you're sort of creating a bit of rapport, make it simple, make the questions easy to answer. You don't want to go straight in there and start asking them questions that are quite in depth, because that they need to relax a little bit before they can start talking to you. And also at this point, I probably would check out that they're somewhere where they feel comfortable to talk, because I have been phoned up by people or sometimes people phone me up and I'm in the supermarket. So at that point, I might say, actually, this isn't a very good time for me to talk. Can I call you back? Or you might say to them, if they're calling and it's not a convenient place where they're at, you might say, oh, would it be possible for us to arrange for you to call back when you can talk to me without being overheard? Just sort of think about those sorts of things as well. And then once you've sort of got past that little section, I think I'd just give a little bit of an outline so that they know what to expect from the call. So I might say something like, so what I'm going to do next, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and that'll help us to see what it is that you're looking for. Then I can let you know about the sorts of things that I do, and that'll help us to decide whether or not you'd like to go ahead in working with me. And, I'll ask you at the end what you think about it and give you the opportunity to book in if that's what you'd like to do. And you may even like to say at this point, this really is just an exploration. I don't want you to feel under any pressure to book in with me, and I'll give you plenty of opportunity to think about it and ask any questions at the end. So, just to sort of establish a little bit of the frame. And you might also want to say, I'm not expecting you to give me any detailed answers to questions, because that's something that we would save for the therapy space together. So you find a way of just indicating to them that you're not going to go into depth with them. Something that someone said in therapy growth group, which I really liked, is they said, sort of imagine that you're asking them for chapter headings. So I could say to them, could you just give me the headlines? So let's move into this next section, which is where you're questioning them. And this is what someone's just popped in. A Facebook user has said a little bit of insight into what they're looking for and their expectations, a little bit of history to see if they've had some counselling before, and a chance for them to ask me some questions, which I really like that. So let's carry on and think about the sorts of questions that you might like to ask. So you could do this in sort of 3 sections, really, and it's really about sort of asking them where they're at the moment, what that means to them, and what it is that they're actually looking for. Because if they start telling you what they're looking for and that actually isn't what you offer, that's quite a good chance to be able to sort of say, oh, it sounds like perhaps you're looking for X and actually I offer Y. So that can begin to help you to screen them out if they're not the right therapist for them. But the question about what they're looking for can be really, really useful when you move into the next stage, which is where you might talk about what they can expect to get out of therapy. So when you talk about that, you might want to give them a little outline of how you work, but also how that applies to what they want. So what you're doing is you're helping them to see that if they're looking for something in particular and that's something that you offer them, because obviously you don't want to manipulate them into coming for therapy with them. You want to be really honest. You want them to be able to make that informed choice. You want them to be in it because they really are committed to working with you. So you don't want to persuade them to work with you if that's not the right thing for them. So you want to be really clear about what you can offer and how that matches what they're looking for. And it might be that you just think, this is something I can really help them with. And you might be able to say, I've worked with people before and these are the sorts of outcomes that we've seen. And so I sort of feel quite confident that I may be able to help you with this. So just sort of describe what you do in relation to what it is that they're asking. And of course, there is an out, as I say, that if it's not right and you don't think they're the right person for you, at that point, you could actually say, well, thanks so much for telling me that. Having heard that, I honestly think the best option for you might be to do X, Y, or Z, or, that isn't something that I work with, but I could refer you on to X who works with it, or have you thought about Y? And you could mention a particular service. So you've got an out there if it's not really what you're after. So after you've sort of responded to them and told them how you might be able to help, what you could then do is tell them a little bit more about how much it costs and what the timings are, whether you expect to see them weekly, those sorts of things. And then you can sort of say to them at that point, okay, that's giving you a little bit of an outline as to how I think I can help. How does that sound? and then you just give them some space to let you know what they think, and you can take it from there as to what their response is. And it may be that they might say, well, I'm not quite sure. And if they say that, you can ask them what they're not sure about, and is there something that you could help with? And you could see if there's something that's perhaps holding them back. It might be something as simple as, well, I'm going on holiday in a couple of weeks' time. So, I don't know if I should start seeing you now or seeing you later. And, people do have concerns like that. So, is this a good time to start? Those sorts of questions that they might have, give them an opportunity to ask them at this point. And then, basically just ask them, would you like to get booked in? I've got a space at such and such a time, or what sort of time are you looking for? Or I've got, a space here or a space there, which would be the best for you. And take it from there and see what they say. And it might be that if they just say, they're not sure and they need some time to think about it, you could follow that up with a question such as, oh, okay, so, what would help you to make a decision? Would you like me to contact you again in a week's time or a month's time or whatever a time frame seems appropriate? And, would you like to email me or, would you like me to email you just to double check and see how you're doing? I often find this when I'm working with my therapists and they sort of talk to me about therapy growth groups. Sometimes people will come onto a call and they'll find out about it. But as we talk about it, it'll be, well, I've got this happening in the next couple of months. And so I'll say to them, okay, well, shall I get back to you around Easter and just see how you're getting on and see if you're ready for it then? And usually people actually say, yeah, that would be really helpful. So, we tend to sort of be a bit worried about offering to contact people, but a follow-up can be really useful for people. Diarise it so you don't forget, because the last thing you want to do is to forget to contact them, and get back in touch with them after that agreed time frame. Or it may be that they say, no, I'd prefer to think about it. And then you could make them another offer. So if you run an email list and you send out emails to people, you could say, oh, would you like me to add you to my email list? Just play around with it and see what would suit them really. Now, something else that's come up for me today is I was talking with someone. She said, the thing that really bothers me is if they're not the right person, how can I almost turn them down gently? And I think one of the ways that you could sort of turn people down is to think about, your own competency and the fact that you are being ethical. So, by turning someone down, you're not rejecting them, you're actually acting ethically and helping them to find the better option. So I've just thought I'd pop that in at the end of the session, just to let you know that there are ways of being able to reframe things if you're struggling with saying no. And as I said, what I've got on offer at the moment is if you join my therapy growth group this week, up until Sunday, the 25th of February, if you come in now, you will get that onboarding pack immediately. It's not coming into therapy growth group straight away, but you will actually get that onboarding pack that you can keep. It doesn't depend on your membership of therapy growth group. We've got other things coming up in therapy growth group next month. We're particularly focusing on working with neurodivergent clients. But we've got an awful lot of stuff in there to help you get set up in private practice, to get more clients, to work on your money mindset, and generally to support you in your private practice. So let me know if that's of interest, or you can go along to that URL that's running along the bottom, therapy growth group offer, each word separated by hyphens. So thank you for watching. Good luck with your sales calls, as we call them in the business. And I hope that's helpful to you. Bye for now.